Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, October 9th, 2020. My name is Rich, and joining me once again this week is Bijan. How you making out?
What up? I am back, y'all. Back from Utah and Las Vegas. Gotta say, Las Vegas, props to everyone there. Very good at, being safe. Everyone's wearing masks, hand sanitizer everywhere. I was very impressed. Utah, shame on you. Zion National Park, 90% of the people I came across weren't wearing masks. Everybody all up like 2 feet away from me being like, hi, how are you? I'm like, lady, get away from me, okay? Like, you want to talk to me? 6 feet away, okay? I don't need all that in my life. I'm sick right now. Don't worry, I already got tested. I don't got the COVID. I don't got the Rona. But don't like it. Don't like people all up in my face without masks on. Get away from me.
So you had a mixed bag of a honeymoon then. It was good in one spot and not another?
I was chilling. Hey, at the end of the day, I got my beautiful, beautiful wife with me. I'm happy, man. Well, I am a happy, happy man.
Well, congratulations. I'm very happy
Thank
for
you.
We also have another guest with us, kind of a surprise guest for everyone. We are also joined by Danielle Dreilinger, journalist and fellow Armchair Ninja. How are you doing, Danielle?
Yay.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just to explain to everybody, so I was supposed to be the guest host while Bijan was out getting married, but then the episode got delayed a week. So Rich and Bijan very graciously decided to have me on anyway.
Right. It felt kind of weird to exclude you just because the Stanley Cup Finals happened. As much as, hockey is a Canadian thing. We love it here. It did throw a monkey wrench into everything, but it all worked out in the end. We're all here, and we're all here to celebrate Ninja. Yeah.
Forgive my ignorance, but is hockey really that big of a thing in the U.S. where it preempted ANW? Like, I am stunned by that.
Apparently it is. That's right. It's growing. It's a national treasure.
I'm sure it makes you happy.
Check it out. What's funny is I don't watch that much hockey myself, but I play a ton of it on the PS4.
Yeah.
Sorry, Danielle, what were you saying?
Danielle, what do you think?
Oh, I grew up in the Northeast, so hockey is hockey is certainly bigger than Ninja in the Northeast, but look, all of the networks, their sports money and their sports schedules have all been completely blown to bits by the pandemic. So maybe they already had deals. The Stanley Cup isn't even usually now, is it?
No, it's totally thrown everything off. We had every major sport going at the same time. It's kind of thrown everything for a loop, just like all of society and all of our lives. It's been turned on its head, but it's all good. We're all coping. And we're all here to talk American Ninja Warrior episode 4 to actually get into it here. That is the last of the preliminary rounds.
Man, it's kind of stunning.
I don't know what's coming next. Do you guys? I haven't been reading up, so I don't even know what they're doing for the next round.
It's like a semi-final thing, right, Rich?
Yeah, it's a semifinals. They kind of gave a little brief overview of it. It's still not 100% clear to me, but 2 semifinals episodes and then the finale with everybody coming back. So we'll see how it all plays out in the end. What did you think overall for this episode? Let's start from there. Danielle, what were your thoughts on this particular episode?
So my big takeaway, was it me or was this kind of a heartbreaker? And did the producers kind of make Joe Moravsky out to be the bad guy?
100%. I was rooting so hardcore for Michael Torres because, as you alluded to, Danielle, the whole episode was built up, building and making you feel for Michael Torres' team. And then here comes super villain, Joe Moravsky, where you're already expecting him. It's I don't know, some super villain that's super overpowered. Well, not super villain, but you know what I mean? Somebody super overpowered. And then the underdog, and you're just rooting for the underdog. But yet, the other guy trounces him in the end. It was kind of a bummer.
Really? I didn't get that. I get rooting for Michael Torres because I was too. I totally I played into that storyline. I mean, I'm actually a huge Kyle Schulze fan, so I was glad to see him at all. But no, I didn't feel like they played him up as a villain, or even to root against him necessarily. I kind of was worried that they were setting up for failure by making him out be the bad guy if he went for the warped wall. Like, I felt bad at that point, which is jumping ahead a little bit, but I guess overall you felt like the episode was a bummer, I guess, to hone in on that point.
I didn't think it was a bummer. I mean, I actually... how do I say this? The episode was kind of boring, in my opinion. Other than, well, not necessarily in terms of it. How do I say this? It was kind of just there. Nothing really grabbed my attention more than the Michael Torres' team storyline, and it really progressed like very well. And I loved that about it, where you get involved with Kyle Schulze, and you really want him to do well. And I forget the guy's name, but the guy with Parkinson's, who we've seen multiple seasons, I freaking love that guy. And
Jimmy Choi.
Thank you, Choi. And the fact that he failed on the first obstacle, and you just know that he can do so much more, it just built up so well to where you know that both of these guys have so much more to give, and they have such amazing stories that you really care for them and you want them to do well. And then Michael Torres is in the perfect scenario to actually save them. It could have given this whole thing with the power tower, like, in many aspects, in many ways, kind of its own storyline where it actually like made a difference. Not saying that, anybody on any of the other teams aren't worthy, but we just don't know them. I'm sorry, but I didn't really care for Joe Moravsky's team, but I did care about Michael Torres' team. So in that aspect, there clearly was a team or person to root for, and somebody not necessarily root against, like I hate Joe Moravsky or anything. That's crazy talk, but clearly, in my opinion, it'll set up for you to cheer on for Michael Torres.
Okay, so I want to get into more of that as we kind of progress. We'll go through a little more chronological, but yeah, overall, I actually kind of like this episode. There were a few things that I liked about it, but let's go through some of the runs.
You like that baking segment, huh?
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about it. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh!
Before we even get to the runs,
I've got my thoughts.
Let's go to the. It's weird. There's an extra layer to these episodes because as I'm watching it, if it's an annoying, stupid segment, I just can't wait to talk to you, Bijan, to find out what your thoughts are. So it adds enjoyment to the whole episode for me. But the course itself, I was actually a little disappointed with. What did you guys think of Sideways?
Well, I mean, for me, it just seemed... it's hard for me to say like, oh, it looks easy, because it's not. I mean, let's be real. But I felt like out of all the switch ups and chains ups, this was maybe the most mild, if that makes sense. It's a very good obstacle, don't get me wrong. But I feel like some of the accompanying obstacles should have been a little bit tougher. In particular, I think the second obstacle should have been changed, because this... you called it the Sidewinder, right, Rich?
Sideways is the fifth obstacle.
Sideways?
Yeah.
It was fine. Don't get me wrong, it was fine, but it didn't really mesh well with all the other obstacles in challenging the ninjas. What do you think, Danielle?
I thought it was okay. It was one of those where I thought it didn't look too hard, but then a lot of people had trouble on it, so I figured it must be harder than it looks. I agree. I mean... Yeah, I mean, it seemed to do a perfectly adequate job of being like the fifth obstacle that uses lots of upper body strength.
Yeah, I think Bijan kind of nailed it with I think if the rest of the course was a little harder, or if there was at least one other obstacle that really challenged them, it might feel a little more in place. As it was, it felt like the course, even though, the results don't really pan out as being an easy course, it just wasn't as visually interesting or didn't seem as hard as some of the other ones did.
Yeah.
Well, and it was one of the instances where there was one person who finished the course who didn't move on.
Wow, good point.
I missed that, actually. I'd be interested. Let's save that one. I want to know who that is when we're done.
Spoiler, we're going to get there fast.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, no way. Okay.
It's the first one.
You're kidding me. Okay, so
Not kidding.
okay, so let's skip the marshmallow guy because I'm actually, you know what? Let's not skip it. But John, did you love the marshmallows?
It was so stupid that I felt it was fine. Like, at first, I was instantly like, are you serious, guys? But there was a key and an important factor, which I'll get to later, is it was short.
Yes.
They did it, and they moved on. And I was like, all right, you know what? If you're going to show me something dumb, do it short and move on with your time. And you know what? They did this dumb thing with the screen or whatever. I thought it was so dumb, I laughed. So they got me there.
Really?
I can't hate on it.
Oh, no, and now I have to hate on it. Or unless, Danielle, do you want to take up that torch for me?
I mean, I was on the edge of whether or not I hated it. Because, like, it was so dumb. But it was also kind of amazing, as much as I hate to admit it. And it was short. I mean, it was really short. So if it had gone on any longer, I would have, been unhappy.
All right, I'll do the heavy lifting. All right, so the marshmallow thing was fine when he's actually catching marshmallows. When they used the screen, I was out. I completely
dumb.
tapped
That
out.
was dumb.
And him shooting them on the sidelines to nothing, I was just so annoyed. I was like, all right, so whatever, move on. Just stop doing it. Like in the middle of his run, they did it again. I'm like, just stop showing the marshmallow thing, please.
I will say this. The sideline thing, like when you've got a shick and they go to the sideline thing, it better be entertaining. Because otherwise you're instantly cringeworthy, in my opinion. It's not annoying, it's just cringe. And I don't like cringe.
All right. So the guy that was actually shooting the marshmallows on the sideline was surprisingly great on the course. Vance Harris, the kayaker. I was in for this run. I hated him at first. I'm like, why is this guy taking the course? Why are they showing us two people that are going to fall early on the course? But shockingly, the guy did amazingly well. Let's kick it over to Danielle. Did you think he was going to finish this?
No, and I was in one of those, like, I can't believe they're giving one of the few spaces this season to this, kid who supposedly hasn't even tried a ninja course, which I hate it when they say something like that because I spend the rest of the time wondering whether it's true. But yeah, like this guy was just like, I mean, this is an actual quote that I wrote down being a journalist. Matt Eisman said, he's just a fun-loving dude who wants to try, wants to try ninja.
Ugh.
But he was so good and he gave great face too. I couldn't get over it.
So first off, Rich is being a hater this episode, right? Danielle, is pretty shocking. Like, what's going on there, man?
A little bit.
You need a hug. I'm giving you a hug digitally. Like, come on, man. But I will say this. When they're like, he's a fun-loving dude, as you said, like, instantly when you hear that, I just want to die. I'm just like, why are you saying stuff like that? Don't like, when as a narrator or host or anything, you use verbiage like that, in my opinion, as a watcher, as a viewer, I'm instantly tuned to hate the person. Because that's something like straight out of I don't know, like a board meeting. It's just, people don't talk like that. If somebody calls me and is like, hey, Bijan's just a fun-loving dude, I'm like, don't describe me like that. What are you doing? There's more to me than that. That said, this guy was very charismatic, very fun. As much as, I didn't like his intro. I didn't hate him as much as Rich. But yeah, he was fine. I was pretty surprised by how entertaining he was.
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of, Rich? He reminds me of the Genie Ninja first time we saw him.
Could be. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed his sideline, which is hard to do through video. But, man, they were losing their minds on that video, and that was pulling me in a lot. I actually really liked him by the end, just to be clear. I didn't hate on him the whole time. I was laughing partway through the course. I'm like, is this guy going to finish? Like, there is no way he's going to finish. And I was shocked when he did, but pleasantly so. I was very happy. I'm like, wow, second run, we have a finisher, and he's somebody we would never expect.
Yeah, that said, I mean, guys, for real, how do you guys really believe that he's never trained for ninja?
I think they tempered it a little bit partway through, and they said that he's barely trained. And I will say
Yeah, well, they said that he showed up at Brian Kretsch's gym, right? And Brian like,
right, that's true.
Plucked him out of plucked him from like the soda shop into, the studio contract or whatever.
I do feel like he's probably a
legit.
bit of a natural because he is not smooth. When you watch him on the Beehive and stuff, he doesn't have a lot of the technique. You can see that he's, if you look back to like Elliot Hall and ones that are, the natural and people that are just good at movement in general, sometimes they struggle when they're trying to figure it out, but they have enough upper body strength and general athleticism to carry themselves through. And I do feel like he represents that pretty well.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, moving along here. Who do we got? Let's skip over a couple people.
We've got a bunch of people I've never who I had not heard of and who are sort of in and out real fast. And which brings me to one of partway, I think one of the reasons I caught on to the Taurus narrative so strongly was I kind of felt going into this episode like there weren't a lot of people I was looking forward to seeing. Like after the first 3 weeks, I was truly scratching my head, trying to remember who we hadn't seen yet. And, so partway through, it just so happens that a bunch of my favorites, this had a lower ratio of my favorites to the overall pack and fewer new people, I think, who stood out for me. So yeah, partway through until the Team Taurus started coming on, I was definitely in a I wish I were feeling more excited about this episode that I'm going to be talking about on the podcast.
Really? So even I guess the next one that I see that's kind of like a superstar and stands out to us at least is Tiana Webberly. Didn't really pull you in?
Well, let's back up and let's describe the run and then I'll weigh in on Sweet Tea.
Okay, so Sweet Tea, Tiana Webberly takes the course, and the story is that she's never hit a buzzer, which is shocking, like a whole extra level shocking, because Bijan and I are both big fans of Tiana, and we've seen her do incredibly well, but we know about that, fifth obstacle curse that she had for several years. Yeah. And she only broke it.
I thought she hit a buzzer last year, didn't she?
They pointed out that in season 10, she did get past the fifth obstacle finally, but it was in the city finals, so she still didn't hit a buzzer that year.
Okay.
And we've seen her hit buzzers on Team Ninja Warrior and Ninja versus Ninja. That kind of makes us think of her as someone who's hit the buzzer before, but she technically hadn't. I got to tell you, she does a great job on the course. There's really no struggle. A little bit of a scare on the spinning bridge. I was all in. I got a little misty. I got to admit, when she hit the buzzer, I was so happy for her. I was fully in. It sounds like maybe Danielle wasn't.
Well, I was really, really happy to see her hit the buzzer. It was more like going into it, I wasn't as excited because, I am more of an armchair ninja come lately. I started watching the show 2-3 years ago, and I haven't watched, I watched back a couple of seasons, but I didn't see her early. She was already like a known ninja when I started watching. And it seems to me in the show, she's always underperformed. She's never accomplished what she seemed capable of accomplishing on the show. So I think just coming in, I was sort of girding myself up to have that happen again.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So perhaps I'll be a bigger Sweet Tea fan from now on out.
It could be. You need to watch some Team Ninja Warrior to really get the full picture, I think. Bijan, you've seen her in real
ninjas...
life. I know you're a fan of Tiana as well.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'll never forget my wife. First time she saw her, my wife was sizing her up, being like, she's like a top ninja. I mean, I'm just as fit as she is, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, girl, it ain't just about how fit you are. Go do half the stuff Tiana can do. All right, I need to watch what I'm saying because my wife might come in here and just throw me out the window, But I'm just saying, there's more to somebody than just how they're built. And Tiana's very well built, but my wife is also. Anyways, but this run actually perfectly elaborates what maybe my issue is with this episode. And maybe Danielle, you can speak to this also. And the fact of the matter is that we had ninjas, right? And like the star levels there, they spread it out evenly. But if you really think about it, the runs that were actually featured didn't have like the top ninjas from like whatever, like, Cowboy Ninja was just sped through. Matisse Awadi was sped through. But not only that, the runs that they did show, because the course isn't, I can't say easy, but it isn't as difficult as the previous episodes where ninjas actually had to struggle, and there was actually that type of drama there. It kind of just felt like people were going through the motions. I mean, when you spoke about Tiana Webberly's run, I'll be honest with you, I kind of didn't remember anything other than her hitting the buzzer. That's all that really stood out to me. I didn't remember like how she struggled through anything or did anything, because the whole episode, it was kind of just people going through the motions. And if they didn't, they just kind of fell out of nowhere. There was no circumstances where any of these obstacles gave an opportunity for somebody to really grind it out and really struggle. Kind of like that Ferris wheel obstacle. Remember how entertaining that was and how much grit there was and drama of like, will they survive the fall? Which route will they go? Can they tough it out? Like, we didn't really get that because all these obstacles are really transition obstacles. So in my opinion, I think it's really the course that really hampered some of the drama involved.
I like it. I think that's a very good point. I think that's what we were missing. Like, there definitely was that drama of the will they, won't they, and a lot of it, they either just precisely did sideways or they fell. There wasn't a whole lot of anyone like losing their grip strength along the way. This just doesn't allow for that.
Right. Also, there wasn't, now that I think of it, there weren't any obstacles where we saw them thinking. Like, remember that pineapple episode, I think, or coconut tree episode from last season, right? Where, like, the most amazing was, like, Barclay, like, Stockett, like, slipped and spent, like, a minute trying to get back up, right? Where they were really trying to have to figure out how to do it. Like, that's always really fun to watch.
Yeah.
It is.
That's a perfect example.
And since you brought her up, I got to say, where the heck is Barclay? Why has she not been on any of these episodes?
Yeah, what's going on with her?
I checked this on the internets, and what I have seen, and I do not know if this is entirely correct, but her mother passed away not all that long ago. The word on Reddit certainly was that she just, for reasons, surrounding that, decided she was invited, but she chose not to participate. And the other thing I heard from somewhere was that it was a COVID precaution, or maybe who knows, it could have been both. But anyway, she was offered the option. She just chose not to participate. But she said on Instagram that she's going to be back next year.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And best wishes to her and her family if it's dealing with her mother. That's terrible. I wish them the best.
And if it was COVID precautions, I don't begrudge anyone that as well. If that was her decision, that's fine too. Okay. Well, as you mentioned, there was a lot of new ninjas, I guess, for lack of a better term. We should mention Amir Malik, I believe his name is. He was the baker. So he had a nice big segment where we got to see lots of baking happening. We had cakes and cheesecakes, and it was just such a warm, they're very friendly, the whole team. There was 3 of them all together supporting each other. I mean, there's nothing anyone could possibly hate about this segment. Bijan, what did you think of the whole Cake Ninja segment? That was a pretty cool, right?
I loved it. It was fantastic. I learned how to bake and a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, Rich, what was your favorite part of it?
I mean, really, when they started talking about
Shame! This was awful. What are they doing? Why is this on my TV screen? It felt like forever. It felt like this is a 2-hour episode, right, guys? 1 hour of it seemed to be about baking. Why? If I want to learn out about baking, I'll go on the cooking channel or whatever. What is this? Why is this happening? Oh my gosh. This was exhausting. It was fine at first. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Bake your cake. Move on with it. And then it kept going. All right, cool. They're baking more cakes. Now they're feeding each other. I don't know what's going on. Get on with it. And now they're training. And now they're baking and training. What is going on? What shame.
It's hard to disagree.
How'd you feel,
It
Dan?
was so long. It was so long. It was so much. To their credit, I mean, normally when people complain about the segments, it's because it's somebody that didn't do well in the course. This whole team, all three of them hit the buzzer. Like, that's pretty impressive.
It's true. It's true. And I just in the to add a +1 or to the reaction here. I bake a lot. Like this week, I have already baked like muffins and 2 loaves of bread and an apple pie. I didn't want to see this segment.
And as someone who's been on a diet for the last couple of months, and I am down 25 pounds, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I didn't really want to see the baking either at this point. It's like, just keep it away from me. It's like, let's get back to the ninja, please, because I don't want to start thinking about pies and cakes for too long here.
How long was this segment? Was it an hour and a half, or was it like an hour and 15 minutes? Like we need these statistics, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty close to the length of this segment. It was insufferable.
It was really long.
It was, once again, it was fine until it kept going, and I'm like, yo, why is this happening? They seem like nice guys, but I mean, I can say this: I didn't not want them to hit the buzzer, but if they fell, I wouldn't be crying.
Right.
But
look, I just feel like these 3 people, like there must be much more interesting stories to tell about them. Like I am
100%.
giving these gentlemen the respect of assuming that there is much more about them that could be featured other than cake.
I sure hope so. Because I've already seen like a dude that likes cupcakes or whatever it is. I've seen somebody that likes his stuffed cat. Like, I don't know what it is about the A&W producers that love this dumb stuff. There are degrees to everything. I gave you guys a pass with the marshmallow guy. Don't you give me big cooking channel for 30 minutes. Don't do it.
So the weird thing, though, is, like, David Wright is totally locked in now. Like, I don't see how he could possibly change it. Like, they've so solidified him as the cake ninja. I mean, he did it to himself. I mean, honestly, he deserves everything he gets at this point. But, like, I think the cake is it. The cake is his thing now. So they're just going to have to lean into it every time, or we're not going to know who the heck he is.
Then, I mean, I will be there trying to spread, what do you call it, like cake dressing or whatever slippery on the course when he runs. I'm sorry, y'all, but I can't. I can't with these segments.
All right. So talking about the actual segment, after the segment, Amir ran the course and did amazingly well. Like he hit the buzzer, as we said. But not only that, he looked very smooth, very comfortable, and he hit the buzzer so hard he actually broke it, which I don't think we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like he broke it, and then he like was screaming a lot. And to be honest, that surprised me, given that I had just been introduced to this guy who makes cake, and I was like, "Who is this like aggro dude who just finished the course?"
Yeah, it was kind of weird, right? Because they're all like fun-loving and, you know, baking cake for no reason and all this stuff. He did kind of seem like, I wouldn't say like aggro in like a mad way or whatever, but he's like super amped. And you're like, buddy, this is completely different from what I saw in your video. What's going on here? But honestly, I felt like I want to see more of the amped dude than the cake dude.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's actually the guy I want to see. So let's move on here. We had Brian Kretsch, and I don't remember who's a fast forward and who's not at this point, but I know he was on there. He's one of the OGs, pretty nervous about his balance obstacles, but I made it across, made it up the wall. So Brian Kretsch, moving on. Woo!
Kretsch has been consistently really good over the past few years. Like, he's one of the OGs, but if you actually look at his runs within like the past 3 seasons, like he's been doing very well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like he has been really standing out, like not just kept around because, you know, he's been doing it for 12 seasons, but because he legitimately finishes the course. His record alone warrants bringing him back.
Totally. And he also, I mean, it looks like he co-owns a gym with, or co-runs the gym with Sean Bryan, right? And so, I mean, I've seen a bunch of ninja videos filmed there with people like Anton Fomenko, and like that seems to be one of those ideal training situations where like these incredibly top-notch athletes are just like pushing each other on all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, that seems like to be the case. When you start digging into the ninja videos, you see they all like there's a very tight knit community, right? And they all help each other out. They're always training together, and you see tons of crossovers, right? And the ones that own the gyms have, you know, ample opportunity when they're not running their gyms, as Michelle Warke has pointed out, right? Running a gym is a full-time job in itself. Not necessarily lending itself to training all the time, but I feel like the coaches at the gyms, more specifically, probably have a lot of training time.
Yeah, Danielle, just so I know, have you been to a ninja gym? Have you ever tried one?
I have not. I do intend to give it a shot one of these years. Once I started getting into this, I live in New Orleans, and there is only one ninja gym in the region, and and basically this coincided with me finishing a fellowship and going freelance as a journalist to write a book. So the budget space has not been there for specialty gym memberships, but I feel like at this point I can't be like this much of a fan and not give it a shot at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to you trying. What I will say is, I mean, it's astounding how welcoming and like just cool like people are at ninja gyms. Not only the staff, but just members there training. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you go to like a regular weight gym, and if you're at a 24-hour fitness that's a little bit more commercialized, you kind of feel like, you know, a little, I don't know, like intimidated. Like you're like, oh man, there's just so many big dudes and people not caring or whatever. But you go to a ninja gym, it's almost, I mean, Rich, you've been to some, it's almost like a family in a way, and everybody's like, hey, how are you? You new here? What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And, oh, let me help you, you know, with this and that. So, Danielle, I hope you get to try it sometime and hopefully, you know, the ninja gym in your region is like this, but I gotta say, I don't have anything but good things to say about ninja gyms. They've been really, really cool.
That's good to know.
Yep. Indoor rock climbing, same thing. Just be careful. Stay low to the ground until you get a little further along, maybe. Moving on the episode, we had Karsten Williams up, and I mean, this run drew me in. I was big on Karsten, and it drew me in for all the wrong reasons, because I'm like, they really stressed how well he did last year, to the point that I'm like, oh no, Karsten, no, slow down. And unfortunately, my worries were verified, because he ended up going out on sideways, just trying to go too fast, as happens to the best of them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really read too much into it, so I was pretty surprised when he fell. I don't know, maybe I was just like glazed over. I wasn't like, oh, he's gonna fall right here. But yeah, this actually was a pretty surprising fall for me, and I really feel for him, because, you know, his season's over, but this guy, I mean, he's amazing. And we don't get to see his mom, which makes me sad. I like his mom.
Yeah, we love his mom. And yeah, he was going so fast. I actually wrote down, it took him 30 seconds to get to the fifth obstacle. I mean, he was going so fast. And yeah, but you know, I noticed when he got out of the water, he was still smiling.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best? Like, there's just something infectious about like people that are just always happy, man. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't know Karsten would react that way. I really thought once he hit the water, I thought, oh, he's going to be mad. But to see him smiling ear to ear, it's good, because he knows he's a superstar. He knows he can do it. I'm glad to see that he's keeping a positive spirit, and we will definitely see him come back again.
Yeah, for sure.
That said, I feel like Karsten could have done what Joe did, where he would have gotten the fastest time and up that warped wall, or mega wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely capable. We've seen, it's weird, that's the second time I bring up Team Ninja Warrior, but Karsten absolutely dominated at Team Ninja Warrior. Like, that's where we learned how fast he could be, because he was ridiculously fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I remember that because I saw the season that was actually called Team Ninja Warrior, or the last one, right? The others had a different name, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But you know who I've been excited to talk about, and I'm glad we're going to get into it now, is Maddie Howard, the ICU nurse, who did so well last season. I was so excited to see her back. This is the one. Like, in an episode with, like, they tried to tug at our heartstrings a number of times, and I'm sure it really hit home for a few people on different places. Hers is the one that got me. Like, they get me in almost every episode, and her run is the one where I was a weepy mess. Like, I don't know what about it was. I think because she's an ICU nurse, she's on the front lines. It just really hit home. When she hit her first buzzer, I just broke. So, Danielle, I guess, were you into Maddie Howard? Were you excited to see her run?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see, but I will say she's someone I had forgotten about before the episode. Like, I'd forgotten that we hadn't seen her yet. Oh yeah, she was. I mean, like seeing her coworkers briefly on the sidelines, all like gowned up, cheering for her, and like even like the sort of the video that they were showing, for her little segment. Like, she's just so good. Like, there's a shot of her like doing a flip between these like giant rings or something.
That was amazing.
And so at the end, I just I was cheering.
Yeah, in my opinion, Maddie is a complete star. She's one of those ninjas that are on the rise that you're going to remember. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. She was amazing. Her video promo really got you engaged in her. I mean, it's really hard in this day and age. I mean, you've got to be a real special kind of like dirtbag to like root against like an ICU nurse on Ninja Warrior. You know what I mean? So everything about her is just amazing. Props to her and all first responders. And it was in particular more special in the fact that she actually did well, and she had like a competent chance. Because I feel like on Ninja Warrior, now's the time to show nurses, but there's a good chance that it's just a nurse that maybe doesn't have as much Ninja Warrior training as most.
Right.
She actually has the whole package. She's an ICU nurse, but she's also a Ninja Warrior that can do amazingly. And she's like at the top, like one of the top echelon female Ninja Warriors in the sport. I mean, she's a superstar.
When they were sending out invites this season, it was like, okay, we send one to Joe Moravsky, we send one to Jesse Graff. Oh, Maddie Howard's third on the list. Like, that's who's getting the next invite. Like, there is no way they didn't want her running the course this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of COVID, I am stunned at how in shape everybody is. Like, I don't know how they all did it. Like, gyms were closed a lot. It took triple the dedication for people to stay in physical condition to do this. And like, it had to take 4 times as much when you're Maddie Howard and you're an ICU nurse dealing with COVID.
I'll just step back for 5 minutes as Bijan goes on his rant about the gyms being closed and trying to work out during the pandemic. You go ahead, Bijan. How's it been? Because
I'm not going to rant about it. It's not like I'm like, open the gyms. I'm definitely not like that. Trust me.
I know it's been frustrating.
It's frustrating in the fact that people are dumb, and we're in a climate where gyms still have to be closed because people can't wear a darn mask. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm in the worst shape I've ever been, but I say that. I still look like me. I just don't have a 6-pack anymore, But it's one of those things where, you got to find creative ways to work out at home. Good thing is most ninjas, just from the way I've seen them, they're pretty creative in their ways of working out at home. And they probably have like their own little setups and things like that. But as you alluded to, Danielle, an ICU nurse, Maddie, she's going to have a much harder time working out at home. She only has so much hours in the in the day, not to mention like her own personal life. She's really having to dedicate, special time to work out and prepare for Ninja Warrior, and props to her. And And not just that, I mean, who knows what her living situation is? Maybe she has to quarantine from the rest of her family, which can take emotional toll also, and also limit how many options you have. I mean, somebody like Maddie, I can't imagine, even if like a ninja gym is available around her that's open, she probably isn't going to it just because, I mean, she's an ICU nurse.
Right.
So yeah, in very specialized situations like that, you know, options are very, very limited. And it really... It didn't really bring to mind for me how much like involvement or dedication she might have needed until now. Like, yeah, what Maddie did was very impressive when you really think about all the obstacles in front of her.
Yeah, we will be watching her for years to come, I think. But definitely in the coming weeks, I wish the best for Maddie Howard, and especially want to see how she does in the semifinals and finals. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Moving on is one of my low-key favorite ninjas. I don't even know exactly why, but Kyle Schulze just absolutely owns the screen for me. Was so excited to see him and that he was getting a full segment. That is the Deaf Ninja, as he proclaims himself. The Spinning Bridge had gotten him last season, and this year it was the second half of Sideways that did him in. Man, I wanted to finish. I was rooting for him so hard. I was one of the most disappointing falls of the night for me.
I love Kyle Schulze, and he was like one of the people I was really looking forward to seeing. Yeah.
It's brutal. Schulze, it's interesting. I liked him, but I didn't like him to the extent of Rich. Rich, you know, adores that guy. But this particular segment really made me miss him, and I was like, "Oh man, I miss Kyle Schulze. This dude's awesome." And he something about this segment, and there was nothing really different or anything, but maybe just him showing off like more of a comfort in front of the camera. Maybe it made me really like him and just really want to root for him. It's kind of like this natural charisma in a way.
It is. That's what pulls me in. I think he's really talented. We've seen him do some, you know, skillful things on the course, but it's his personality and his, like, even when he's cheering someone on from the sidelines, like, I just find he's very engaging. I just really like him, and I wish he had either made it further by himself or that he had gotten saved in the end, which we'll get to as we get to it again.
This episode would have been so much better. And Torres made it.
It's not scripted, man. It just plays out how it plays out.
Not.
It's so it adds to the drama, the fact that you don't know how it's going to end in the end.
That's true. Yeah.
We should mention Jerry Derillo. Ran the course.
I mean, like, speaking of charisma, they did a triple fast forward on all of Team Jerry, and I was bummed because it was Jerry Derillo and Michael Zabauer and Verdale Benson.
Yeah, all three of them got fast forwarded. And we love Jerry. We've seen her lots of times. She was in the top 3 at the time she ran, but she ended up getting bumped out by Meagan Martin. She ended up going out on the Beehive this year. Kind of sucks.
Was it the Beehive or was it the...
Oh, sorry, I wrote Sideways.
I wrote 5.
It was Sideways.
Yeah.
Sideways really got a lot of the female ninjas this episode. Well, I don't want to rush it. Go ahead to Meagan.
Well, sorry, we're not at Meagan yet. Did you have anything you want to say about Michael Boyer, or you were just a fan of him and Verdal?
No, they're great. I mean, for me, the fast forward segment more than anything else just illuminated to me. I was like, oh man, well, there's a reason Derillo is getting passed up. I didn't really see much good in her future, if that makes sense.
True.
Verdal hit the buzzer though, so maybe he'll get a full segment in the finale or in the next round. It's so weird. We don't have the qualifiers and finals anymore, so it's like it's hard to even think of. All right, so next it's semifinals. Maybe he'll get a segment there.
Right.
Those semifinals are going to come up quick. Like, I am not ready for it to be the second half of ANW already.
I mean, we're past the halfway point.
That's pretty
right?
surprising.
That's so weird, right? Like, we've only got 3 episodes left.
Oh, right, because it's only
crazy.
7 episodes. I mean, look, at this point, I'm really deep in, like, what even is time anyway?
Right.
For real.
So...
but it is what it is. Okay, I almost want to skip over this guy, but I love his nickname too much to skip over him. I'll never pronounce his name. Will Schlageter?
I think that's it.
Wildebeest. I'm like,
yeah, I like
Wildebeest.
as
Yes.
much as we have two beasts already, I will take Wildebeest for sure.
Yeah, more than anything else, I want to hear your thoughts on this guy, because as soon as I saw this guy and everything about him, I was like, this is somebody Rich is going to like.
Yeah, of course I did. Of course I did. He's a nerd. I mean, he seems to be screaming nerd. Not to no offense, Will, but
Totally.
You're definitely screaming nerd from every angle, and not take that as a huge compliment from me, because it is. He applied when he was 14 to be on the show, even though he was way too young to actually qualify. So they let his father run. They did a segment about it. It was cute. That was fine. He did pretty well in this course, but he did end up going out on the Beehive and looked really, really angry when he did.
Really angry. Yeah.
I wasn't like over the top a fan of this guy. Not like what some of the others, like not Kyle Chelsea level, I guess. But he was cool, and I loved his nickname. I think he picked a perfect name. But
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm pretty surprised because I like this guy a lot.
Did you?
I think I might like him more than Rich. I mean, I was really enjoying him. Something about like a kid that's a super fan that's been like grew up loving this sport. I don't know if it's because I kind of was like that. Definitely not to the extent of him. I mean, I did not dedicate my life training for American Ninja Warrior. I dedicated my life training for, I guess, just athletics. I don't even know. But yeah, this dude, man. He just seems so dedicated, so awesome. Got 3 degrees. Did you guys
Right.
hear that one
I
thing?
did hear that.
Oh, yeah,
That was
yeah.
impressive.
I
And
was
from
like,
the University
what?
of Rochester. Yeah.
Man, that's so impressive. And on top of that, training for American Ninja Warrior. And there's something just funny about just seeing a dude like with a shirt on, just looking like the biggest dweeb, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, but just like a complete nerd, like somebody that I wouldn't even take a second look at Comic-Con, right? And then he rips off his shirt, and he's just this yoked dude. He's like, raw, and I'm like, whoa, okay, buddy. Like, I don't know. Something about him, I like him. I'm rooting for him. He's not your average pretty boy, Ninja Warrior. He is a complete nerd that, is probably on the Sasuke Maniac forums and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just muscled himself up and got himself on this show. I like this dude. What are your thoughts, Danielle?
I think I just really felt bad for him. As it turns out, well, I won't go, to the, end of the story quite yet, but like, it just seems so heartbreaking, right? Like that he's been trying to do this for so long, and he's been working so hard, and he's been training so much. And I don't know if maybe he was just a little nervous. He seemed unsteadier on the course than I would expect from somebody who has trained as much as he has. So my only guess is that he was a little nervous. And I just felt bad for him when he fell on the third obstacle, and he was so unhappy about it.
I mean, all I gotta say is there's nothing wrong with a super fan falling on the third obstacle or the second obstacle. I am happy for him. He can look back and say he was an American Ninja Warrior, and you go, Will, and I am there with you.
That's right. And what I could actually
Just saying.
related to that is I was thinking, as you said, Danielle, he looked a little nervous and a little out of his element. I was thinking about how high those obstacles are. Like, it's deceptively much bigger in person than we see on the screen.
Oh boy, are they?
Yeah.
That could have been throwing him off as well.
Yeah. I guess he hadn't done like Ethan Swanson's like
Yes.
fear heights training.
Next up on the course, we had Jimmy Choi, who we were all very excited to see, I'm sure, who through a cutting-edge new treatment has a second chance. Basically, he has some new like power gloves that he wears that like stimulates the neurons in a special way. I'm sorry, I have no idea what exactly it did. But he said it was helping a lot and giving him new abilities, and like really amped up to see how he was going to do in the course. And I I let loose words that I cannot repeat on this podcast. I got so angry when he fell. They pulled the rug out from underneath me in a way that I was not expecting whatsoever. Like, Bijan, did you react as viscerally as I did when he fell?
Yeah. Jimmy Choi gets the visually profound segment of the night. I was very invested in his story just because he really made an impact in the brief time that he was on ANW. And I mean, seasons past. Like, he's somebody I definitely remember and I really cared about. His Parkinson's and people with Parkinson's just aren't covered all that much when it comes in particular to sports. And seeing him represented on American Ninja Warrior, which might be one of the toughest sports imaginable for somebody with Parkinson's, I mean, it was really powerful for me. And I was so happy to see him back and get an update on him. And I was so happy to see that he's doing well. This new treatment is helping him out. And just seeing him training, he's older, which makes me care for him more and all this stuff. But yeah, he fell on the first obstacle, man, and it was brutal. But in many ways, I wasn't angry. I was just sad, and I was sad for him. And not like I pity you, but I just, felt I'm sure it meant a lot to him. And I just really hope he wasn't too disappointed and that, he was okay. I was really, usually I'm just like rolling my eyes, or not rolling my eyes, but just whatever. I don't really have a thought on people on the sidelines comforting somebody, but I was really genuinely happy that his team was there for him in this moment. This whole thing really, connected with me. And maybe I'm just biased. I don't know. But this was a really powerful segment for me. In probably not the right way that he'd prefer, but it still was, very important to this episode.
Yeah. And I felt like, that this was like the point where when Kyle and Michael Torres were consoling him on the side. I mean, first of all, I remembered that they actually are friends. They all are Chicago people.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few times that this team concept has really had resonance for me.
Yeah.
Because, some of these people did choose their teams, I think. Some of them, it was, producers assigning people together. But, it wasn't until this episode that this fact that you could, that if one team member wins, the others get to come along. And, where I guess I just felt that team quality among the guys, ninjas.
Yeah, fantastic point. And, I mean, it was just shown on screen. They really genuinely cared for one another. And more than anything else, this moment where Michael Torres is consoling them and you come to realize that their team captain, the guy that was pegged, it really raised the stakes for Michael Torres' run and everything involving afterwards. Like, they built up a really genuinely powerful storyline with Kyle Schulze and Jimmy Choi failing, but you really care for them, where it's like, now is the time where this can really have an impact. See Michael Torres be this hero. Imagine how amazing of a hero this guy would be if he does it. And of all people, beats Joe Moravsky. Like, Danielle, can you imagine? Michael Torres beats Joe Moravsky on the Power Tower and saves his two homies. Like, I would have loved this guy to. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm ashamed of you or disappointed in you, Michael Torres, or anything like that. I'm just saying, this was all built up in such a amazing moment for really this hero to rise.
Yeah, you both made some really great points. I think Danielle nailed it with this is what sold me on the team concept. This is the only time that I felt like they were a team, that the saving was important. And I feel like part of what makes the difference is that we know that both Jimmy and Kyle can do more, right? A lot of times that we talk about saving people, it's like, yeah, but does it really matter if they get saved? They're going to fall. Let's be honest. They're not going to be competitive in the next round anyway. Whereas I feel like both Kyle and Jimmy can be competitive in the semifinals if they had another shot. So you really want to see them get that shot. Like, both of them are amazing ninjas in their own right. So I think that plays into it. And yeah, it really drew us all in. They were really geniuses for showing us that sidelines comforting and him outright promising, like saying that he was going to try to save them.
Right.
We're all drawn in. We all want Michael Torres to do it. And then we get a chance to see him attempt it. And doesn't he deliver? I was so mad. If he falls, I am going to be so angry.
Oh, man.
But he did it. He went through so quickly. He was not dragging, but like comparatively, you're thinking like, okay, you got to move a little faster than that. And then suddenly he just picks up speed at times and just does amazingly quick movements, and brings home the fastest time of the night. And you're just like, oh my God, he's going to the power tower. He's going to do it. And then you're just wondering who he's going to be up against. I mean,
right.
Do you guys have anything to say about Michael Torres' run? Because I kind of want to like get to the power tower at this point. Oh, I guess we have Meagan Martin's run as well, and Joe Moravsky.
Right.
I mean, I was just happy for him. And I mean, it's pretty obvious. I was exuding happiness, but I don't really know. I have more to say, at the power tower. So Danielle, go ahead.
Yeah, just the only thing I had to add was like, my notes were like, he was like, I mean, he was fast and he was wild. Like it was a good run because he was going so fast that there were definitely, I mean, I thought he had, especially after seeing Karsten go too fast and fall, right? Like I thought there was a real chance that he was going to do the same thing, but fortunately he didn't.
Yeah. And all I'll say is usually when, these competitors are just going fast, they're just going fast for fast sake, or they're saying like they're trying to save their team, but I don't have no connection to their team, so I don't really care. I'm just like, oh, they're going fast. This was one of the few moments where he was going wild, he was going fast, but I cared. And I genuinely was interested, or like the stakes were there, and I was just rooting for him every moment, and I was really hoping it wouldn't fail.
Totally.
All right.
Well, I guess we should address Meagan Martin then.
Yeah, Meagan Martin, who is one of my favorite ninjas, and I don't feel like she had a somewhat bad season. She hasn't had the really standout seasons in the last couple of years. But she's also one of the first guests I had this podcast specifically because she's one of my favorites, and I thought of her as one of the most friendly, open ninjas that I would want to talk to, and she was totally great. So I was very excited to see her on the course again. I really wanted her to get her vindication after failing to qualify for Vegas last year. And she ended up going out on sideways. She looked very solid, overall, but made a slip up on sideways. Did end up making the top 3, so she does move on. But we're so used to seeing her as the number 1. It can't help but be a little disappointing to see her as number 3, I gotta say.
I mean, I was cool with it. She made it through. That's all that I could ask for. I mean, Meagan, it's one of those things where after last year, for her, I just want her to have her vindication. And Meagan tends to do a lot better later on in the, I don't think she's ever completed stage 1 in Vegas.
She hasn't yet.
Wrong.
No.
But she tends to do pretty well in like city finals and things like that. So I'm guessing this course may not be right for her because she tends to do a lot better on the courses that I like to see, where people are struggling, doing a little bit more rock climbing and holding type stuff, or honestly more of a balance. Maybe transition obstacles aren't really her thing.
Yeah. I mean, she looked good. I'm glad that she's gotten past it. It was a thigh injury, right? It was like a significant injury that she had last year. I remember she was on, I think she was on Ninja Babes podcast over the summer. And she didn't make it to Vegas at all. Didn't she have to drop out or something? Anyway, she was like nursing a thigh injury. So I was just glad to see her looking solid. I mean, solid. She looked like totally ripped. And I was really surprised when she fell. I would have thought, like, of all the obstacles that she would fall on, it wouldn't be that one. But I guess these things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because doesn't she do really well at the Wolfpack Ninja Tour and those types of courses?
She does. She's incredibly strong. But I think the trick with the sideways thing is that it's precision and dynamic, which, if anything's static upper body, she's going to absolutely destroy. Where these things are moving and like you've got to, I think that little quirk of the obstacle was just enough to throw her off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess rocks don't move.
Yeah, not generally. You don't want them to, for sure.
I sure hope not.
So then we had Kitawati, who missed the mega wall. He was fast forwarded anyway, but he missed the mega wall.
I mean, hang on. When they started fast forwarding Kitawati, I was like, whoa, now. Does this mean he falls, and isn't making it through? Because, Kitawati was, the star of the show. I forget if it was last year or the year before, but,
It was the year before.
Yeah, he was just, all over the place. And I know where he's being fast-forwarded. I'm like, what's going on here? He still makes it through. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
He was the third fastest.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where he didn't make it over to the power tower, but pretty interesting that they skipped him. But I'm pretty darn confident, guys, that we're gonna see a lot more of him. In the semifinals.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's so condensed now. Typically they might anyway, but with it condensed, they need segments for the next 2 episodes, so they're gonna save some of their superstars for those to give them segments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to imagine that the producers really went back and forth on that one. It's just weird that to have him go from 100 to 0 in terms of publicity. In fact, and just the week before the season started, his Ferris wheel blindfolded duel with Daniel Gill was the highlight of the whole episode. So I think I was just really okay, they also fast forwarded Lucas Reale, but they've done that a lot with Lucas Reale. So to have Kid go from just being this, such a focal point of this whole season, these past 2 seasons, and highlighted on the skills challenge skills challenge, to nothing in a fast forward was unexpected.
Yeah, a little jarring.
All right, so expect a massive segment for Kitawati in 2 episodes. Mark my words.
Okay.
Oh yeah, big time.
But speaking of big segments, we had Joe Moravsky with a 3rd child who has safely arrived, as it turns out.
Congrats.
With his segment,
congratulations,
all about not getting the mega wall, which is actually exactly the segment I want for Joe at this point, because it's shocking that he hasn't. If I had bet on anyone getting that mega wall in season 10 when they first announced it would have been Joe above everybody else. And in season 11, it would have been Joe above everybody else. And the fact that he hadn't hit it yet was amazing.
For me, it actually created stakes for his run, which is all I asked for, in particular for somebody like Joe Moravsky. So I was cool. I was really happy to see that also.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things that I think we've all liked about the mega wall since it was introduced, is precisely that it creates stakes for these people who, we expect to be able to get through without really, barely breaking a sweat.
Yeah, we're never really in doubt that Kevin Bull's going to finish a qualifying course. Now, Kevin doesn't seem to go for the mega wall, but any athletes of that caliber, it's the qualifiers just became a joke, right? Do we really need to see Daniel Gill complete a qualifier? We know he's going to just breeze through this thing. And the fastest times didn't really mean anything. A few seasons ago, it was so what if they get the fastest time? It's just for bragging rights. Or there is a money thing in the background, but we didn't ever really know that or see that on the show.
Right. But also just to illustrate the way the imbalance in who we were rooting for right then on the power tower, one of Joe Moravsky's teammates not only got a fast forward, but he got a fast forward in the middle of his mega wall segment. Or it's between the mega wall segment and his own run, something like that. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, all I remembered is I don't know his team, and to this point, I still don't really know his team. Like, do you guys even, with no notes or anything, do you guys even know the names of his team or anything about his team?
Yeah, it was Wildebeest, that dude, right?
Wildebeest was on there, huh?
I think so, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wildebeest, and his first name is I don't know if it's Yeshua or Yeshua, and I didn't write down his last name because he was like not on the screen long enough for me to write down his last name.
Yeah,
man. And that's cool. Wildebeest, I love you, buddy. You're a really cool guy. I wish you didn't, I wish the other guys made it. All I can say is, hey, you were entertaining and all, but you're not Jimmy Choi, buddy. You just
right.
Yeah, right. And I mean, they must feel. All right, we're jumping ahead a little bit. So
I mean, feel how Joe Moravsky feels. We're talking like, Joe, you did this to them. Shame on you, Joe.
I know.
Like,
I feel bad. Joe, you're great, and I'm really glad that you did really well, and I'm happy that you have a new kid, and to skip ahead, I'm happy that you finally, conquered your nemesis of the mega wall.
Yeah, that was great. I love that he got it, and I was mad actually at this whole segment and this whole setup because I thought, how dare you? Joe needs this mega wall, right? This is the third season. You give him a segment where it's like all about him beating the mega wall and then make him out to be the bad guy if he actually manages to do it and get the fastest time. Like, I was just beside myself watching this because I'm like, okay, now he's got to do both. Or he's the jerk that didn't save his teammates. They set it up for him to save his teammates. Yeah. But then he's a jerk if he does. Like he cannot win with the segment they gave him and the whole story they set him up for.
Except that he did win because he got up the second fastest time and he got the mega wall.
He did, but y'all are trash talking him like he did something wrong. Let's be fair. Like, and how many people out there are going like, how come Joe didn't, like, not that anybody wants him to let them win, but it's like somehow he's the bad guy for saving his teammates, even though he managed to do it and the mega wall and everything else that he did. Like, Joe's amazing, and he's so competitive that he would never, ever let someone win anyway, even if it was within the even within his eyesight. If it was something that would even cross his mind, Joe is the last person to let that happen.
And we probably wouldn't want that to happen. Like, if I saw Joe just give up, the power tower to Michael Torres, I'd be upset in here complaining about that. So, I mean, I'm a hypocrite. Well, I say I'd be complaining, but really I'd be like, any other situation, but my homeboy Jimmy Choi, moving on. So, but seriously, in the spirit of competition, he did the right thing in completing the course, and I'm sure he felt bad, or maybe he didn't, I don't know. But he has no right reason to feel bad. I shouldn't say that, but it's just one of those things where it played out how it did, and we as viewers, or the way the producers, and I'm not trying to blame the producers, but just the way everything came out, the storyline was built up for Michael Torres to be the superhero. And hey, sometimes the superheroes, fall a little bit short, but doesn't mean they gave it, a great chance in that it wasn't an amazing journey getting there.
Right. And look, this to make it clear, I have zero criticism for Joe Moravsky. He did everything right. I am targeting this at the producers. Like, the reason they set this up so that we would have these reactions of, feel, and I think they did this because, speaking as a writer, the only thing more emotionally gripping than a wonderful happy ending where the hero wins and the heroes win is when the hero just loses.
That's right.
Yep.
This was Infinity
Red
War.
Wedding, there's a bunch of examples of it.
This was Infinity War. Next year is Jimmy Choi's Endgame.
Oh, man, I hope so.
We're very excited to see how it all plays out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing, right? It just makes it so much sweeter. We none of these stories are finished, right? We get to see that time and time again with Ninja, where our favorites just fall early. They don't quite accomplish the goal that they set out to do. We think they're going to do something, and they're not able to quite do it. Because that's how sports is sometimes. But they come back, and they get back up. And we get to see them, do these amazing things. It's the spirit of Ninja that just keeps us coming back every year.
How amazing will it be next year when you see Jimmy Choi or Kyle Schultz like being the last man standing and Joe Moravsky like number 2?
That would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did the power tower. We've kind of been talking about it the whole episode, but I do want to say like one detail about this power tower, like Joe getting out early, kind of, you know, your stomach sinks a little bit. But I have to say that Michael demonstrated exactly what I was saying a couple episodes ago, perfectly. So do you remember, oh no, am I not going to remember his name? What is that?
Roman Torres, right?
No, it's
RJ Roman.
RJ Roman. Do you remember when he was doing it and he skipped over that last shelf?
Oh yeah.
And he barely touched it and managed to pull himself up in the next one. Like, that's what Torres tried to do, and that's what should have happened to RJ Roman, and I don't understand why it didn't. Like, it was exactly what Torres needed to do to win. It just didn't quite work out for him. Like, he gave it all, and props to him for trying it. I still cannot figure out how RJ Roman managed to pull off of that thing without dropping down.
Yeah, that was amazing. But more than anything else is I appreciate the fact that Michael Torres went for broke. He was like behind, and he didn't just like try to do the safe route. Like, he did something. He actually did something that was a risk, and it failed, but at least he went there. And I'm sure his team appreciates it, and he can probably look back and being like, hey, I gave it everything I had. And yeah, I appreciate runs like that.
Yeah, and I mean, all of these power towers have been so close. I've been like shocked at how dramatic every single one of them has been. And this one had the like added drama, not only of like the stakes, but holy moly, he's the first one to fall from the top of the power tower, and that was like a moment.
Yeah, good point. Imagine how that must have felt. Like, I know it's padded and everything, but man, this dude like slammed in his abdomen and then has to fall like however many feet that is. That probably wasn't fun.
I think it's like, didn't they say it was like 40 feet? It's like far.
It's a lot. That sounds about right. 35, 40 feet, somewhere in there.
Could you imagine, guys, like just being that high up? Like, that is terrifying.
Yeah, I've been up, 15, 20 feet. Not a fan. I would not want to fall 20 or like 40. No way.
No.
All right. So that was the episode. Overall, a good episode. And we're running much longer than we normally do, but that's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. 3 people takes, probably 30% longer than 2 people, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
And your 30% is way better than ours. So thank you, Danielle. I'll tell you that.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Not a problem at all. Thank you for joining us. As Bijan said, you've been a great guest and a great host. So before we wrap it up here, Danielle, do you have any websites, social media, anything you'd like to plug before we close it off?
I guess the best way for people to find me, which is to say the way that is easiest to spell, is my website is thedailyreason.com. Reason like, what's the reason for this happening, not like raisin like California raisins. And I do that because all my social media is under Dreilinger and no one can spell it.
Perfect. That's marketing. So thedailyreason.com. All right. Make sure you go check that out. And if you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. Bijan, how can they reach you?
Before I do, once again, Danielle, was that Daily Raisin or Reason?
It's reason. Is the reason to wake up in the morning.
That's okay. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I just want to make sure. So, hit me up at Bijan151 at Twitter and Instagram. That is Bijan 151. Special shout out to Danielle. You were awesome. You are the best. You were fantastic this whole episode. I loved hearing your thoughts and insights on everything going on. And if you guys want to hear more, give them that Armchair Ninja podcast hug with thedailyreason.com. That is thedailyreason.com. Danielle, you are fantastic. You are the best. I love you to death. Virtual air hugs. All the best.
All right, thank you all so much for listening, and have a wonderful week.
Bye, guys.
Peace and love, y'all. And wear your darn masks in Utah. Just saying.